If we can, Hicks was just in here, so you could talk about his upside. What role do you see him playing moving forward?
Yeah, really talented. I mean, I think the first day I worked here was the day before the bowl game. You got a chance to watch him in the bowl game. I remember talking to Mike about, like, I remembered him out of high school, but I tell you what, like, he is a tremendous kid as a person, right? Works really hard, can accept hard coaching. Obviously, his dad, a high school coach, did a great job, with him and developing as a kid and as a football player. So I think he's got tremendous upside. I think he's got real athletic ability. He's 300 pounds, super powerful. I'm glad he's here.
We'll go second row on the left side to Sam.
Hey, Jay, saw an interview with you recently, old one, that you mentioned that you didn't spend a lot of time as an assistant. Like, you've been calling defenses for most of your career, and that kind of impacted how your defensive philosophy has come to be. I'm curious, how did you kind of construct your core defensive philosophy, and, like, who were your biggest influences in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a unique path a little bit because it wasn't like one guy, and then I kind of took that system and ran with it, I think I was fortunate and unfortunate to be a head coach at a really young age where I didn't have a boss. And so I could kind of do what I wanted, And so I think that. And then I think, when Mike and I worked together at University of Richmond for Russ Huseman as our D coordinator, I think a lot of the stuff we kind of took from him. And it's obviously, changed a ton since then, but the root principles, I think, started there, to be honest with you.
We'll go front row on the right side to Travis.
Hi, Travis Brown at the Eagle newspaper. What has been the pros and cons of the helmet communicators that y'all have been able to use, and especially how does that impact I think people think about it on the offensive side of the ball, but on defense.
So we haven't used it much on defense yet. We've I try to do one team period a day where I stand behind and talk to the Mike linebacker, but we haven't used it much on defense yet. We're still we've done a ton of research with NFL teams about how they do it. The how you have to be prepared for certain things that happen. But we haven't gone into it as much on defense yet, but it'll be coming soon.
We'll stay on that front row to Brent.
I was going to ask you about that experience at Siena. I'm Brent Zorneman, Houston Chronicle. What do you learn at age 26? You become a head coach. Is it an experience you wouldn't trade for anything, or you look back on it?
So
and say,
it's funny. The young men that I coached there, Jeff Hafley was played for me. He was head coach at Boston College. Now he's with the Packers. The success of those kids, it's been, in different fields, is pretty amazing, right? And I think there were some that, I definitely had one kid. I think two kids that were older than I was, So that part was a little interesting. I had a bunch that were older than my wife. So I think, it was one of those deals I got the job. I was not ready. I was not prepared. I was 2 years removed from being a backup assistant linebacker coach in high school, right? So I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot of what not to do. But I still talk to those kids that played there. I mean, shoot, some of them are 40 years old. A lot of them are 40 years old now, right? But I still talk to those young men a lot. So
We'll go back behind the lights on the right side to Ben.
Coach, Ben Peck, NBC here in College Station. With that D-line, that's been a unit that's been recruited extremely well over the years. Just what, in your mind, especially working with Coach Spencer, a guy you have a little familiarity with, how do you kind of maximize what you have to work with?
Yeah, I think Sean's done a great job with them so far. I think Tony has too, right? I think Tony's a rock star. So obviously that's a really talented group. They jump out at you when you first start working with them. There is depth there. So I think that will be a real strong point of our football team. And so I think some of the decisions we've made kind of as we're building this are built around the fact that, we're to prioritize their ability to impact the game. And I think that's kind of going forward our plan.
And just how helpful is it, bringing in a new coaching staff to have a guy like Torian York in that linebacker room, a guy who last year obviously picked things up really quickly, just as a freshman. Now kind of him being maybe a steady presence, just kind of obviously.
No, I feel very fortunate to have Torian here. I feel very fortunate, blessed to coach him. He just works really hard at it. He's in the meeting room right now working, watching film. He's always ahead. He's always asking questions, So I think those are the guys you'd like to coach. Obviously, he's got a lot of ability too. So really fortunate he's here, and I think he'll be a big piece of our defense because I think he's going to help us run things. And I remember when the helmet first came out, and with the communication piece between a player and a coach, like I remember thinking, like, man, we got the perfect guy for that. So we're excited about Torian.
We'll go second row on the left side to Sam and then David.
I wanted to go back to your time at Siena. You spent time at multiple levels. Coach Elko spent time at multiple levels. We've seen a lot of coaches even recently that have kind of risen up the ranks from having had success and coached at the multiple levels. What does coaching at a different level do for you? How does it shape you?
Yeah.
Prepare you for where you are now?
So I think when you coach at the lower levels, right, you have young men that don't have as much ability, right? So everything you have to, the fundamentals and how you play and the effort you play with, all those things are maximized. And so I think you learn how to coach. You learn how to, teach a young man how to do something that maybe, doesn't have the God-given ability to do it at a high level just walking around, right? So, a lot of the coaches I've coached with in the past that haven't had those experiences, they don't understand how to teach a kid a skill, right? So I think, and I think you appreciate a little bit where you're at, right? So I think Mike and I are built that way a lot.
And then when you look at, I know it's only been 6 practices, but when you look at what you have, what do you think of the personnel that you have to work with so far?
Yeah, I think we have. I've been very pleased with our young men, how they've worked, their effort, their attitude. I think we have a lot of talented players. I don't think we're the most talented team in the SEC, but I think we've got a talented team that we can go win games with.
We'll go second row on the right side to David.
You mentioned depth on the defensive line earlier. What is your philosophy with rotating guys in and out, especially when you feel a hot hand going?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of leave that up to Sean and Tony a little bit. We definitely, the hardest thing physically to do in football is to rush the passer, right? It's to play D-line, right? That's why you need more of them. So I think it'll be a little bit of, you're always going to rotate there where maybe you don't rotate as much at other positions on defense. So there'll be a rotation plan. Some of it will be based on who's healthy and all those things. But certainly if a young man's playing at a really high level, he's going to be able to play a little bit more. And I think that's the way it is at every position we have.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.